As a developer, you get used to people knowing your work, but not knowing you.
We're inspired by solving the really big problems, like helping to minimize security risks with tools like QRadar, BigFix,
Using Watson to help make shopping more personal. If I had to be known for something, I guess it'd be that.
Hold on, we can't see you.
Can you see me now?
Our work is pretty complex, which is probably why it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Hey!
Oh, sorry.
I'm using the IBM Cloud to help make banking easier for people who need it most. Seriously?
The truth is, no one thinks about a developer until there's a problem. It's really nice to have a chance to finally talk about our accomplishment.
We have this room booked.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm Angela Bates from IBM. I'm an advocate of developers, that's how I call myself. Although I'm not a developer myself, I'm there to bridge the gap between developers and the superpowers that they have to help businesses, no matter what size they are, be successful. So I want to talk a little bit about developers and the sort of world that they live in and the impact that they could possibly have on you and your company's innovation. So one thing to understand then, the world of developer, it's an amazing time to be a developer. I wish I was a developer. It's a fantastic time to be a data scientist, an engineer, a software developer. That world is just bursting with talent that has the possibilities and the superpowers to really change businesses and the world for good. As businesses, we really do need software developers, no matter what industry we're in. We really do need software developers to harness all that data that's exploding in our company. We need them to help deliver customer-centric experiences, to deliver what our customers need. And we really need to bring them closer to the business. So it is a fantastic time to be a developer. So how come developers have suddenly got important? I remember when I started back in IBM 25 years ago, software developers were down in the basement and you made that call to the IT help desk and they came running up, you let them sort out your computer and then you just walked away again and never spoke to them. They were like crazy guys, sort of stereotype software developers that really had no impact on business at all. But there's been lots of things that's happened over the last 5 or 10 years that have really changed that. Obviously, the invention of the internet 30 years ago, which has revolutionized communication. The advent of the cloud that gives software developers the ability to be able to develop applications on the cloud in a couple of minutes, infuse those applications with artificial intelligence, and use blockchain to revolutionize transactions, so to really change that and create something quite amazing in a very short amount of time. But finally, open source software has really revolutionized software development. Now, open source software, for those that don't know it, is a licensing model for software, which enables the user of that software to modify it however they wish to use, to incorporate that in larger projects, but then contribute their inventions or their changes back into the pot for then others to use it. So it becomes this really community-generated piece of software. And it really breaks down the barriers of innovation to help keep that software alive constantly by contributions from the community. So those three things have really helped software developers to be able to deliver some really quite amazing things at no or low cost. There we go. Now, the importance of software developers is not just our opinion. There has been lots of things written about the rise of the software developer. One of them is our own annual CEO study, which we do. We've done this for the last 19 years, where we talk to all of our customers, some of the biggest brands in the world that are our customers already, but also backed up by independent research from Oxford Economics as well. Talking about the companies that are most successful in the world, those reinventor companies and the characteristics that we see in those reinventor companies. And one of the characteristics we see in successful companies is that harnessing of digital talent. And when we talk about digital talent, we include software developers, we include the data scientists, we include the digital marketers, and everyone that's involved in those hybrid job roles. So digital talent being really important. And there have been other publications as well. One of the key ones is called The New Kingmakers by Stephen O'Grady, a fantastic book that really articulates really well the way software developers are impacting business strategy. So understand, for us as business leader, the importance and the value that software developers really have. They really do have superpowers that can change the world. They live in an ecosystem which thrives in the community. They share with each other. They get help from each other as well. So as business leaders, we have the responsibility to really harness that and bring them closer to the business to help innovation really come to life within our company. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about a case study that we have done within IBM of how we've tried to bridge that gap between the software developers in our company and the software developers out in the world and bring that closer to our company to really change some of our business strategy. So one of the things we know is that software developers are human beings just like anyone else, and they can actually be motivated just like anybody else. They actually really care about the world and they like to make a difference. So we picked a sort of challenge. We picked a challenge that would really change people's lives, not only change people's lives, but save lives as well. So we know that natural disasters are one of the biggest challenges that the world has to cope with, and it's getting worse for sure. We've seen over 800,000 deaths from earthquakes since 2010. 25% of our coastlines have been eroded. Our most active hurricane season in 167 years was last year. So these things are killing people. We can't stop natural disasters happening, but what we can do is we can help predict them, help communities prepare, and when they hit, we can help communities restore themselves as quickly as possible. So that's the challenge that we wanted to set for the software coders out there, because there are over 22 million software developers out there with those superpowers. And we wanted to harness that talent to see what they could do. So the answer then was a challenge called the Call for Code. Because developers, like I say, are humans, and they can be motivated by something that really matters. And when we talk to software developers, what we find is that more than prize money and fame and fortune, what they actually really want is their code to be used. That's what they all want. They want to write something and see it be used. That's what they want. So we had to make a promise to them that if we were going to use their talents, we're going to fulfill that and use some of that code. So the challenge, Call for Code, was to inspire software developers to solve global challenges, global pressing problems through natural disasters. So I want to hand over now to our Chief Developer Advocate, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about how that challenge went.
In 2018, Call for Code captured the world's imagination. From aiding earthquake-torn villages in Nepal to building resilient financial systems in China, coders stepped up to the challenge. The Call for Code solutions we saw last year addressed everything from wildfires in California to hurricanes in Puerto Rico, to creating a blockchain-driven applications in Europe to help track donations. More than 100,000 developers from 156 countries donated their time and talent to building technology to address natural disaster preparedness, response, and recovery. We learned that developers have the power to change the world through their code. We learned that no matter where you are in the world, chances are you or someone you love has been affected by a natural disaster. We learned that this is more than a coding challenge. This is a global movement for good. This is personal, an opportunity to make our society more resilient, a chance to show that while we can't stop natural disasters, we can mitigate their impact. This is a new year with new challenges. We need you, the developer. This year we're adding emphasis on healthcare and ways to keep society's most vulnerable safe and healthy in the event of a natural disaster. The winning team from last year, Project OWL, met through our Slack channel. They built a solution that connects victims and first responders in areas that lose power and access to the network. We're working right now to implement that solution in Puerto Rico and other areas where staying connected can really make a difference. Last year's runner-up, PD3R, saw a need in the villages of Nepal to assess earthquake-damaged homes through AI. They built a solution that can scale throughout the world and help victims of natural disasters return to their homes in days instead of months or years. What will you build when you answer the call? How will your code change the world? Commit to the cause, push for change, answer the call. Visit callforcode.org to register. Get started today.
So that's how it went. It's all kind of emotional, though. Kind of emotional, isn't it? It's saving people's lives. And who'd have thought software developers could do this sort of thing? It's amazing. Brilliant. What a great place to work. So moving on. So I just wanted to share a little bit then about what we learned through last year's challenge and what we're going to do next. The first thing we learned is that we can't do this alone at IBM. Even big company though we are, the ecosystem is actually really important. And this is actually only just a small selection of the companies that got involved in the challenge. There were more than 200 actually companies that joined the challenge. We kind of set this up with the Linux Foundation and the Red Cross, but then more and more people kind of came on with us as they kind of got it. Everything from technology companies and organizations like the Cloud Foundry, through to some of our clients like Johnson & Johnson, but also charitable foundations like the Red Cross as well. So really building that ecosystem, that was really important. I think you were talking about the power of the ecosystem as well. So it's you never try and do some of these things on your own. Always get some friends to help. The second thing we learned is that, as I said, software developers are human beings and actually influenced by social influencers. We actually, for the first time, really harness that sort of the celebrity and social media influencers to help us reach more software developers with the message to join the call for code. So some of these folks, I don't know who they are, but then I'm not the target market, am I? So I wouldn't. But for sure, this worked, by harnessing celebrities and social media. It really worked to help reach software developers. The next point is about structuring the prizes and the way that we decided who won. I think that, just like I said, that it was really important that we made sure we built into the prize structure the ability for us to be able to make that code, whatever was coded, make that a reality. So a commitment from us to really build that into the prize, and working with investors and sort of really sort of famous judges, Bill Clinton, etc., to be able to decide what was the most impactful solution. So what we did as IBM, we have something called the IBM Corporate Service Corps, which is our volunteer sort of organization, and we actually allocated IBM people to actually take the winning solution and deploy that in the field, which we did actually just about a month ago. It's now in Puerto Rico and it's being tested now, which was really important, I think, to make that commitment that we were going to make that a success. We also realized that software developers, in order to give them the fastest start possible into joining that challenge, we had to put a lot of effort into building content which software developers could really use to take part in the challenge. So we built what called code patterns, and code patterns are a collection of content around a particular topic. If you're building, say, our blockchain solution, it would be architecture diagrams, it would be learning, educations, but also actual code, which our own software developers have written to give them a quick start. So rather than them trying to build out their own blockchain solution from scratch, we'd actually do quite a bit of the chunk of the work up front and just give it to them, to free. And we built about 200 code patterns that included all of that. So that was a lot of work. We gathered our software developers together from our organisation, the advocacy organisation, to build that content. The other thing that we did, though, we understand that content like that, useful though it is kind of a static resource. Developers live in a community, and when they hit a problem, they don't sit there and struggle on their own. They do actually reach out to other people and to get the help that they need. So it was really important during the challenge period last summer that we introduced lots of opportunities for developers to come and learn together, to build things together, to meet with us, ask questions, anything that they wanted. So these are just some of the photographs from the UK, some of the activities that I helped organise, and these are some of my team up here that we did. So organising hackathons, workshops in the evenings, meet-up groups, tech talks, office hours, all of those activities to bring people together to help them on their journey to building those code solutions. So what's next? That was last year. So what are we going to do this year? Well, we were actually blown away by the results and the number of people that joined us, not only the ecosystem itself, but we had thousands and thousands of entries across the world, from all over the world to this challenge. So we've decided to make this a 4-year commitment now, $25 million we're going to put into building the content and the prizes and everything that we need, the corporate service call, putting more IBMers into making more of those solutions a reality in the field. This year's challenge, as Willie said in that video before, will be more focused around healthcare. So there'll be more, but we'll take any solution that's around natural disasters, but healthcare being a particular focus where we think would be a great thing to do for a community that have been affected by a natural disaster this year. So what we've learned, we've actually taken those learnings from doing that challenge last year and actually put that into our own strategy as a corporation. We've called it the IBM Developer Way. So at the beginning, I showed you a video where developers often feel that they're really not recognized for what they do. Even though they're doing some amazing things, they weren't really being recognized. So we've changed that as a company. The IBM Developer Way puts developers in our top 3 business strategies globally. We have recognized them. They're no longer in the basement. They're on the top floor. But also developers as an audience, if you like, for us as a company have become very important as well, with additional resources as well. Those code patterns, we treat them as products, even though there's no actual value to them in terms of there's no transactional value for us. We don't take money for them. We do treat those code patterns that we wrote for Call for Code, we treat them as products. We keep them up to date, we take feedback on them, and we regularly refresh them. They do have product managers assigned to them. So really building in that sort of developer-centric model within the strategy itself. So that's my story of things that I do with developers. So my name's Angela Bates. I work for IBM Developer. That's what we've renamed our organization, IBM Developer. If you are interested in finding out more, you can follow me on Twitter, IBM Developer on Twitter as well. We have a YouTube channel. We have meetup groups happening in a lot of cities around the world. We'd love to see you or any of your software developers if you want to join us to find out more and learn together. Thank you.